Hello students, very good morning to all. Hope you are doing well. So students, previously in this chapter we have seen about or we have discussed about autotrophic nutrition in plants. Okay, because the chapter is based on nutrition in plants, so most of the cases we will discuss about plants. Now previously we have discussed that autotrophic nutrition in plants. Now today we are going to discuss that there are some kinds of heterotrophic nutritions also. Okay, so let us discuss in today's lecture about heterotrophic nutrition in plants. Okay, now first of all let me tell you that what do you mean by heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition means we have already discussed that those plants or those substances who can prepare their own food by themselves. Okay, so that type of nutritions we can call it as autotrophic nutrition. Now heterotrophic nutrition, just have a look. There are some non-green plants, okay, which do not have chlorophyll in them. We have already discussed that to prepare our own food we need chlorophyll. Okay, as humans don't have any chlorophyll on them, so that's why we can't prepare our own food, okay, by ourselves. So basically there are some non-green plants which do not have chlorophyll on them. That's why they can't prepare their own food. Okay, therefore they depend on other plants and animals for their food. Okay, so they adopt the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay, now very important thing that heterotrophic mode of nutrition we can easily divide into four parts. First one we call parasitic nutrition, second one we call insectivorous plants or insectivorous nutritions, third one we call as saprotrophic nutrition, and last one we call it as symbiotic nutrition. Okay, so these four kinds of heterotrophic nutritions are there in our syllabus. Okay, so let us discuss one by one. So first of all let me rub all these things, then we will discuss. Okay, so let us start with parasitic nutrition. Now what do you mean by parasitic nutrition, or what is parasitic nutrition? Now some plants are there which live on other plants. Okay, now this line is very much important, that some plants live on other plants and derive their food from them. Okay, such plants are called as parasitic plants. So parasitic plants means basically some plants are there which depend on other plants, which live on other plants and which take their nutrition from that other plant also. Okay, so basically the plant from which it derives its food is called host. Okay, so the plant that actually the you can say parasitic plant is using the plant, so that plant we call it as host plant. Okay, you can see Cuscuta is a parasitic plant. Okay, you can see here the picture, it is given. Okay, it is yellow thread like structure. Okay, you can see here this yellow thread like structure are the Cuscuta plant, but this green part is the host. You can see here two portions are there, the yellow thread like structure is there and the green plant type structure is there. Okay, so the green plant is the host plant. Okay, so it basically obtains its food from the plant on which it climbs. Okay, so basically this is the characteristics of parasitic nutrition, that it obtains the food from the plant which it climbs, or it obtains the food from the host plant. Okay, another example of parasitic plant is, you can see here it is given Mystiote. Okay, you can see here the picture, it grows on trees like mango and mahua. Okay, so basically two types of trees are there, mango and mahua. So it grows on these kind of trees. Okay, it takes water and minerals from the host plant. Okay, so basically it takes water and minerals from the host plant. Okay, so these types of nutritions are called parasitic nutritions, or these are also called as partial parasites. Okay, partial parasites, why we call them as partial parasites? Because they don't fully depend on the host plant, they only take water and minerals, only a part they take from the host plant. Okay, so that's why we call it as partial parasites. Okay, clear? So this is all about our parasitic nutrition. Okay, let us discuss the next part. Okay, partial parasites we have discussed. Now next one is as insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants means what? Let us discuss the second point, which is insectivorous plants. So insectivorous plants means some plants trap insects. Okay, see, if you just divide this term into two parts, insect and vorous. Okay, so you can easily understand that some plants trap insects and eat them. Okay, Venus flytrap and pitcher plant. Okay, you can see here Venus flytrap picture is there and pitcher plant picture is there. Okay, so these two kinds of plants are there in this category of insectivorous plants. Okay, so they are some kinds of insectivorous plants. The leaves of pitcher plant are modified into pitcher like structure. You can see here that the leaves are modified into pitcher like structure. You can see here this structure actually. Okay, this structure we can easily call it as pitcher like structure. Okay, the apex of the leaf forms a lid which opens and closes the mouth of the pitcher. Okay, so basically the apex means the front part. You can see here it just be here like a lid. Okay, it just open and closes. Okay, inside the pitcher there are hair like structures pointing downwards. Now inside the pitchers there are plenty numbers of hairs like structure pointing downward like this. Okay, you can see here these are the hairs. Okay, so they are just pointing downward. When an insect enters the pitcher, the lid gets closed. So when if this is the insect, you can see here, if this is the insect, if it is here, then what will happen? The lid get closed. Okay, it will closes the upper part and the trapped insect gets intact into the hair like structure. Okay, that means what will happen? Insect will go downward and the cells of the pitcher plant secrete digestive juices to digest the insect. Okay, so what will happen after the fly or after the insect enter the pitcher plant? Then what will happen? The pitcher plant secretes some digestive juices. Okay, to digest the insect. Now though the pitcher plant is green in color and carries out photosynthesis. Okay, now this is very important line. Let me mark it as a star, that the pitcher plants are green in color, and green in color means, students, we have already discussed that they carries out photosynthesis. That means they can prepare their food. Then what is the need of this? What is the need to catch the flies? What is the need to catch the insects and take you can say to digest them? So the reason is that still it feeds on insects. Why? It is so because pitcher plant and Venus flytrap are deficient in nitrogen. That means they need nitrogen. Okay, and we have already discussed that there are you can say about 78% nitrogen is there in the atmosphere, but we or the plants can't take them directly from the atmosphere. Okay, so they fulfill this deficiency by eating the insects. Okay, so to fulfill their nitrogen deficiency, they eat the insects like this. Okay, so these two things are there, Venus flytrap and pitcher plant. Okay, so this is all about our insectivorous plants. Okay, now let us discuss the next kind of heterotrophic nutrition. So quickly let me rub all these things. Okay, I hope it is clear. So next one is your saprotrophic nutrition. So what is saprotrophic nutrition? Let us discuss. So this is our third one, which we call as saprotrophic nutrition. Now have you ever observed an umbrella like patches growing on the rotting wood during the rainy day or rainy season? I hope many of you have seen that in the rainy season, if you go outside of your houses, if you go outside in the surroundings, then you may easily find out some umbrella like patches growing on the rotting wood. Okay, these are special organisms called fungi. Okay, so these organisms do not have chlorophyll. Now this line clears one thing, that if they doesn't have any chlorophyll, that means they can't prepare their own food. Okay, so then how do they acquire the nutrients? Let us find out. Okay, by doing this activity. Which activity? Let us discuss the activity. Now just have a look. We call it as activity 1.5 to show saprotrophic nutrition. Okay, now take a slice of bread, moisture it with water and leave it in a moist place for 2 to 3 days. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to take a piece of wood. Okay, then we have to moisture it with water. That means we have to put some water so that it can soak the water, and we have to leave the bread for 2 to 3 days. Now after 2 to 3 days we will see some fluffy patches appear on it. Okay, these may be white, green or brown in color. Okay, so 3 colors may be there. Maybe it is white, maybe it is green, maybe it is brown. Okay, so these are fungus. Okay, now observe this fungus under a microscope. So if we put a microscope on it, then we will see, or we will get this kind of image. Okay, so basically this is a enlarged image of this. Okay, now let us discuss that you will observe a small thread like structures connected with each other. These are fungi. Okay, so you can see some thread like structures which are connected to each other. Thread like structures means what? Many thread like structures which are connected to each other. Okay, these we can call it as fungi. Okay, these organisms basically secrete digestive juices on the dead and decaying matter. Okay, so now this is very important. They just secrete digestive juices on the dead and decaying matter and converts it into soluble form. Okay, then they absorb the nutrients from this liquid. Okay, so they take the nutrients in the form of liquid. So basically this mode of nutrients in which organisms take nutrients from dead and decaying matter is called saprotrophic nutrition. Okay, so a very good definition is there written in your book, that the mode of nutrition in which organisms take in nutrients from dead and decaying matter is called saprotrophic nutrition. Okay, so this is our saprotrophic nutrition. Now plants like fungi shows the mode of nutrition are known as saprophytes. Okay, so basically those plants who shows this mode of nutrition we call it as saprophytes. Okay, so these are our 3 kinds of nutritions. Now let us discuss the last kind of nutrition. Okay, we have covered the 3 kinds of nutritions, heterotrophic nutritions. Now let us discuss the last kind. Now let me tell you something more about fungi, that you can also see fungi on other items like pickles, leather shoes, clothes. Okay, you can see easily you can see fungi on these items also. Now have you ever wondered how fungi appear suddenly during the rainy season? Now one of the most important question, one of the most conceptual questions of the chapter, that how is it possible that fungi only appear suddenly during the rainy season? Okay, actually the spores of fungi are always present in the air. Okay, the spores of fungi means tiny fungi particles are present always in the air. Now when they get wet and warm conditions, okay, they start germinating and grow. Okay, now when will they get? When enough number of moisture will be there in the atmosphere, and moisture will be there in the rainy season only. Okay, that's why fungi appear suddenly during the rainy season. Now last portion is symbiotic nutrition. So let us discuss symbiotic nutrition. Some organisms live together and share shelter and nutrients. Okay, so here is give and take policy. They just share their shelter and nutrition. This type of nutrition is called as symbiotic nutrition. So basically they work together for their mutual benefit. For example, you can say that certain fungi are there, lives on the roots of trees. The trees provides them with nutrients, and in return fungi absorb water and nutrients for the tree. Okay, so the trees give them shelter and they just absorb the water, and they just give and take the nutrition and shelter with each other. Okay, another example of algae and fungi. Okay, this is another example of symbiotic nutrition. Okay, when there will be a give and take policy, when there will be a sharing of you can say nutrients, we call it as symbiotic nutrition. Okay, So you can say that fungus supplies water, minerals and shelter to the algae, and algae supplies food to the fungus. Okay, so that's why they can called as symbiotic nutrition. Okay, so these are the 4 kinds of heterotrophic nutritions which is there in our syllabus. Now let us discuss the last part of the chapter, which we call how are nutrients replenished in soil. Okay, that means how the nutrients get mixed in the soil. Very important. We have learned that the plants absorb nutrients from the soil. Okay, therefore the amount of nutrients in the soil keeps decreasing. Okay, these nutrients are recovered in the following ways. Okay, now if you have a bucket of water and you just keep taking water, 1 glass, 2 glass, 3 glass, then what will happen? The water will decrease. But there are few ways, just like the water, you can say nutrients are also decreasing, but there are few ways to recover the nutrients. First one is, in forest the nutrients gets naturally replenished by the dead and decaying plants. Okay, so first one is the natural process. Second one is fertilizers that we are using, fertilizers and manures containing nutrients such as nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, etc. Okay, so they will get mixed to the soil and enrich it. And last and the most important one is this, a bacteria is called rhizobium. Okay, so this bacteria, what this bacteria does, this bacteria actually takes the atmospheric nitrogen and converts it into soluble form so that plant can absorb it. Okay, rhizobium can't make its own food. Okay, it lives in the roots of the leguminous plant like peas and gram. Okay, these are called as leguminous plants. Okay, for food and shelter. Now in this way the deficiency of nitrogen soil is replenished. Now this example you can call it a symbiotic relationship because it is also a give and take policy. Okay, now this is very helpful for farmers also, because we have already discussed that nitrogen, this type of bacteria called rhizobium, they can help to mix the nitrogen in the soil. Okay, so they do not need add nitrogen fertilizers to the soil in which leguminous plants are grown. Okay, so that is our portion, students. With this we have completed the chapter. Okay, now what you have to do, you have to solve the question answers. Now in the next video lecture we will come with a new chapter. Okay, thank you all.